Thanks, Philip, and welcome to Today in Putnam County, where we're talking about all the great things happening in our community. Hope you're having a great Saturday morning. My guest today is John Albertson, who is the Parks and Recreation Director for Putnam County. Good morning, John.
Good morning. Great to be here.
Thanks for being on the show. You've been Parks and Rec Director now for about 3 years. Tell us a little bit about yourself and what brought you to a job like that.
Well, I'm actually originally from Cookeville, from the Putnam County area. I grew up here, went to school at Cookeville High School, went through all the Putnam County schools actually, working my way up to then at Tech, where I went to Tech and got an undergraduate degree and got a master's degree there, while also working for Tech football and Tech athletics. One thing that really drew me to Parks and Rec from the athletic field is it's really kind of a natural transition, moving into a parks system where there of course are a lot of sports and athletics involved in that. So it was a natural transition to that, and it's always exciting of course to be able to be involved with anything in that nature. Being outside, that's a huge factor for me because I always like to be outside and be active. And be able to work with other people and help make our children's athletic leagues so much better.
So it wasn't a Parks and Recreation show on TV that drew you in, right?
Well, believe it or not, I actually did watch that show before starting the job. And so my sister actually likes to call me Ron Swanson all the time. I did actually get to see that. And no, that was not the main factor that did draw me to the position.
And that's nothing like what it is in real life, right?
No.
We've got a lot of new projects underway in your department. I'd like to talk about several of those today, and I'd like to start with the biggest one that we're doing is the sports complex expansion, where we got a big state grant. Can you tell our listeners a little bit about that?
Yeah, what we're doing, we're looking to expand our sports complex ultimately by the equivalent of 2 fields. One area that we're looking to turn into fields is actually currently concrete and asphalt. So that was a big factor, of course, for TDEC when they looked at our grant application. But we're going to turn that into a rec league area. So ultimately we'll be able to put all of our rec leagues in that area. They'll be able to play their games separate from our full-size fields. So that ultimately accommodates more of our travel teams and our bigger kids. And then additionally, we're going to add an additional full-size field that we'll be able to use for lacrosse, and then our other travel league, which has just come on the scene, which is definitely showing that our soccer leagues are growing. We have 2 leagues now here in town. One is Upper Cumberland Soccer Group, and then the other is All In Football.
So we're seeing soccer and lacrosse both growing in sports. We're seeing some of the other sports kind of stagnate a little bit, but you just had the Rotary Soccer Tournament that happened at our sports complex last weekend. Was the turnout, was that a good turnout? It
was great. They had actually around, I believe, 65 teams is what they had, which, believe it or not, that brings in a substantial amount of people. I know that just from talking to different people in the Rotary and being out there and interacting with some of the teams that have traveled here, they love our community, they love the facility, they love to be able to come back. So the Rotary brings in a lot of people. It brings in a lot of revenue, of course, for our county, our city.
Lots of tourism dollars.
Definitely. And all of these people stay overnight generally.
Hotels, restaurants, shopping, eating, filling up with gas, all the things that help us with tourism, that the more dollars we bring in with those, the less that we have to pay with our local property taxes. So we like to see those tournaments.
And the more tournaments that we can put on, the happier we all are, for sure. But one thing for us, of course, being a Parks and Recreation Department, we really like to be able to work on the tourism side too.
Absolutely.
With our friends, of course, at the Chamber, with Zach Ledbetter, which you had just had on your show, to be able to promote our area and to promote our facilities in order to bring in tournaments from outside. Because those tournaments, of course, help bring in that revenue by bringing in teams from not just our Upper Cumberland area, not just even the state, but also southeast. So when we attract those teams and those organizations, then we bring in a lot more revenue because we have even more people staying in our area.
Which is a goal, I know of mine and yours both, is to bring in more tournaments to Putnam County, where it be soccer or lacrosse or any kind of sports. We're talking with John Albertson this morning, Parks and Recreation Director for Putnam County. John, we have a bit of a problem with our sports complex with the entrance. It's not the best that it can be. It comes off of Whitaker Springs Road instead of off North Washington where it should. But with the new grant, we're going to change that and have a brand new entrance coming in.
Yes, we are. We're actually going to bring it in off of North Washington, which was a goal of both of ours, even all the way back to whenever we first started.
Right.
Just looking at the sports complex straight out, that's one of the big factors for me whenever I traveled to other places and saw those, was there's no real entrance right now.
Right.
And coming in off of Whitaker Springs, of course, that's a smaller road. It narrows traffic down right at the entrance, and
It's
it causes
difficult
some
for
problems.
folks to find from coming from out of town. If they
Definitely.
do GPS on the high school, the sports complex, it wants to take them in the other way. So
It tries to take them in the main entrance of the high school, and fortunately, our new entrance will be right there, kind of next to it. We'll work out some traffic flow issues that we've been having at the facility. That even issues that I noticed this last weekend at the Rotary tournament. We're going to be able to hopefully fix those issues through this grant as well.
So the grant's been approved, working through environmental and kind of things now. Any idea when we think we'll be able to break ground and start on?
Well, right now we have one environmental review that has to be edited. Once that's edited, then it will go into the system, the grant system, and then we'll move into a contract phase with the state of Tennessee. They'll draft the contract, and then they'll be able to send it to us. We'll be able to sign it. And then hopefully our thought would be that we would be bidding it, or at least in the process of writing bid specifications in June, July, and then hopefully trying to bid in probably August at this point.
So sometime this year is the goal.
Definitely.
We are, we partner, as you talked earlier, with the chamber to try to promote events, but we also partner with the high school and some of the other school systems. High school has its own soccer field, but our soccer fields and lacrosse fields, the group that we have, there's been a tremendous change in those. I think they probably look better than they ever have. In a short time we got in this segment, tell us a little bit about what you did to improve the looks of those fields.
Well, when I first came to the department, we had two issues that were immediately mentioned to me by our staff. One was the Cookeville Community Center pool, and the other was the sports complex fields. What we did is we brought in a company that did some testing of the soil, pulled some soil samples. They drafted a maintenance plan for us to enact and a way for us to be able to improve it in a very short amount of time. So we took all those steps. I actually remember it very fondly whenever I first started. We had to close the facility for a few weeks there. And it was very unusual to a lot of people because that had never happened before. Right. But it ended up paying off, and I think now people really appreciate that.
Absolutely. The quality of the fields, I think, are the best they've been and better than a lot of other fields around us. You're listening to Today in Putnam County on News Talk 107.7 and 1400 The Hub. I'm Randy Porter, your host. We've got John Ross Albertson with Parks and Recreation with us this morning. Stay with us. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Today in Putnam County. I'm your host, County Executive Randy Porter. Hope you're having a great Saturday morning. Today we're talking about sports and recreation with Putnam County Parks and Recreation Director John Albertson. John, we've been talking about the sports complex. Let's move over to parks and green space. A lot of new projects going on in the county and several of the cities. Probably the most prominent is the Baxter Seminary Park, where we got a grant to construct some stuff down there. Can you tell us about that?
Well, it's funny that we talk about it right now, of course, because we actually had some meetings last week and we made quite a bit of headway in trying to get the process moving. First off, we have a grant open right now through the Tourism Department in the state of Tennessee for an amphitheater in Baxter, in the Baxter Seminary Park. We're working through that process. It's actually in drafting phase right now, and we're going to try and get some price ideas so then we can make any adjustments that are necessary before we send it to bid. Other than that, we are also working on the first phase of our project that we're actually going to be able to do immediately that's not through a grant, and that's the walking path that was the original walking path for Baxter Seminary Park. And all thanks to Jenny Lee and, of course, Mayor Martin.
Right.
They've done a lot of work in order to be able to fundraise and to help us be able to do that. We're hopefully going to start within the next 2 to 3 weeks on trying to lay the concrete for that project. We have several people that have volunteered to help with that. Once we get finished with that, we'll be working on lighting and things of that nature, benches, and doing some small finishing touches. And then Jenny has actually raised the funds to be able to put a sign that is like the original sign for Baxter Seminary right at the entranceway of that walkway as well. And then we have that part. Then we have our amphitheater project that we're doing. And then we're actually looking to add a third phase to that we're going to be working on different drawings for within the next few weeks as well.
And when you look at Baxter had a very, very small park, and this is going to be a huge expansion for Baxter with green space and a place for folks to go. And for some of our listeners that may not remember, Baxter Seminary School was a large school that was there in Baxter on First Avenue for many, many years. Lots of folks attended that school. Of course, it burned and several years ago, and the new schools were built. But the new park is going to emulate that old school and have a lot of the history that had to do with the Baxter Seminary School, correct?
This park is very exciting, of course, for me because I also like history a whole lot. So it's very exciting to be able to work on a historic project as this. And so we're getting to add a lot of details that show that history through this park. And that's one thing that we don't necessarily have in the rest of the county is a very historic park to this degree. And so we're going to be able to add a lot of different features and things of that nature that will remind people, and for people that have moved to the area that don't know the history, they'll be able to look at these features and see, well, so this was what was here.
Right.
And then they'll be able to realize what the name means, and especially what it means to a lot of those people that went to Baxter Seminary.
Well, and again, a team effort with Jeannie Lee and Baxter Mayor John Martin, all of us coming together to make that happen. I think it's going to be great for Baxter. Moving on to the eastern end of the county, we're working on a project with Monterey. Tell us about the grant that we're looking at for something new for Whitaker Park.
We are looking at a water feature for Whitaker Park utilizing a health department grant. Hopefully we'll be able to get the funding released any time now, I guess. And what we're looking to do, it will have 16 jets that will shoot up out of the ground. We're hoping to put, of course, a safety surface down, which is a soft surface, so that any kids that are out there playing on that, if they fall, they won't get hurt. But that's a very exciting project in itself too, because it stretches our department outside of what we would normally do, and it gives us an opportunity to be able to utilize skills that we've learned through our CPO certification courses, which is Certified Pool Operator courses, and it allows us to be able to utilize those skills in order to put in a water feature ultimately.
Right, and it's something similar to what Dogwood Park has.
It is.
With its around the fountain, and it's great. It'll be a great addition, I think, to Monterey, to Whitaker Park. We have our community center that sits next to it. We have the swimming pool and tennis courts, and across the street's Whitaker Park. And Monterey's done a good job with the amphitheater there that they built into it. And it's another, I hate to keep saying it, but another team effort working with Mayor Bill Wiggins and Julie up there at the depot to make all this happen and have more green space and activities for the kids.
That's one thing about our department. We rely, of course, on a lot of team efforts and a lot of initiatives that have been brought to us by these cities, which, of course, we have contracts to help maintain those facilities. But these relationships with all the different people, and we can list all of them all the way from the chamber to Jenny Lee to Mayor Martin to Julie to Mayor Wiggins, it's vital to our success. And ultimately, I think a lot of those, we're starting to see a lot of the rewards of those good relationship building in order to be able to get some stuff done. And so I think that the citizens truly will pay for those relationships.
We can always do more together than we can apart. Also, Monterey has lots of new things going on. We cut the ribbon on the new Meadow Creek Park and trail up there. We're looking at cutting the ribbon on B Rock coming up in June, where that was donated. Swimming pools going to be opening soon. Do you have dates set for those?
The pools will be opening on Saturday, May 18th for the season. and that's always, of course, an exciting time. It's generally our busiest season for our department, but it's always very exciting. And the more years that I've been here, the more exciting it becomes. We've tried to add more features to our facilities. Actually, we just finished a project at the Cookeville Community Center, adding some sunshades for people to be able to lay under and for parents to be able to sit under while their kids swim. We're looking at adding some different events, such as concerts and things of that nature at our pools, and have those open for the public, so that the general public can come and just pay our normal entrance fee, which is $5 for ages 2 through 6 and $6 for 7 and over.
It's all about creating those activities for the children and adults to be able to enjoy the outside quality of life. We work hard, but it's about giving those folks something to be able to get out and enjoy on a weeknight or a weekend.
And that's really what our department's goal is, and I know the same for leisure services, of course, here in the community. Our goal is ultimately to be able to provide good facilities for our people to be able to use, our citizens to be able to use in this community, and we all strive to do that. And of course, now that I've been here for 3 years, we're starting to move into a phase where that we're able to offer more events, more classes at our community center. We're adding Zumba, we're adding a water aerobics course this year. We're being able to add a lot more things now that we've been able to work through our first few years.
Well, that's great. That's what it's all about. You're listening to Today in Putnam County on News Talk 107.7 and 1400 The Hub. I'm Randy Porter, your host. More with John Albertson when we come back. Stay with us. Welcome back to Today in Putnam County. I'm your host, County Executive Randy Porter. Hope you're having a great Saturday morning. We're talking with Sports and Recreations Director John Albertson this morning. John, some exciting news coming up that we've been working on for the last 2 or 3 months. A new tournament coming to Putnam County. Can you tell our listeners about it?
Yes, we've actually been working on it with Tennessee Tech. Yet again, another partnership.
Another partnership.
Which is how things get done ultimately. But it's going to be an American Legion tournament, which is a baseball tournament that actually Tennessee Tech is graciously going to be able to host at the Averett Field, which is exciting, of course, for me, having worked there for 6 years, to be able to go back and work with them to bring a tournament to our town.
Shout out to Mark Wilson at Tennessee Tech for being willing to host this. It's big to have that partnership to be able to bring this to people.
We always appreciate everything that they've done for us and that they continue to do for our community and helping us do events like that. But it's going to be an exciting event. It's going to be their state tournament for the American Legion recreational leagues that they have. So that will be a great opportunity to show off Cookeville again. We have so many great opportunities throughout the year to be able to show off our community and what we've been able to build. And that really goes to yourself and the mayor and a lot of the things that you all have been able to do with the community events.
Back to that team effort.
Mm-hmm.
This tournament's coming up at the end of July. It's a state tournament, so we'll have about 8 teams coming in to compete over a 3 or 4 day period at Tennessee Tech's baseball field. We had American Legion in Putnam County at one time. I don't know what happened, but we're bringing it back now. A lot of coaches are excited about bringing that league back to Putnam County.
It's kind of a ebb and flow. Different leagues will change differently. I know our local league, our local recreation league, has changed through Babe Ruth to some other different organizations, and American Legion has come back pretty strong in recent years, I know, throughout the state. And so they're making a big push, and hopefully locally that will definitely grow, especially with us being able to host this state tournament. So I think it's of course going to be a great opportunity to show off the local groups that do it, and to show off a lot of the state groups. So we'll be able to see those, and the community is more than welcome to come out. It's of course an open event for them to be able to come and attend too. So.
Absolutely, and football championships, baseball championships, we're going to continue working and bringing those the championship games and events to Putnam County. You're also working on 4th of July, and I know it's only April, but we have to plan a lot in advance. The events that we have during the 4th of July, working with Mayor Shelton and the City of Cookeville and partnering with all the sponsors to put on the fireworks and events. I think we already have some dates for one of the events that's coming up at the fairgrounds.
We do. We have the Red, White, and Boom car show that will actually be June 29th, 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. at the fairgrounds. That's of course always a big car show. We all really love going to that event. It's a great event that we've done for probably 4 years, 4 years
this
now.
This may be coming up on our 4th or 5th year. It's been a great event.
They all run together.
Time goes by quick when you're having fun, for sure.
It's hard to believe that I've been here for 3 years too. So, but that'll be a great event. They're adding tractors this year, which will of course draw in a lot of people to be able to look at those tractors. That's always a really neat thing. I know me personally, I have not always been attracted to tractors, but in recent years, the older I get, the more I've been drawn to them.
Well, I grew up with them, so I've always been attracted to them. It's a good thing. We also have the 4th of July festivities that we're going to be having at the fairgrounds. Of course, the fireworks that's coming up, but we have some other events that'll be happening that day. That we'll have some announcements coming up in the near future about those.
We will. We'll of course have live music the day of the 4th that night, leading up to the fireworks. We're actually working on finalizing the 2 bands that will be able to play for that, which of course that's very exciting. We always love to be able to get that done.
We have a maxed out crowd at the fairgrounds. That's one thing, the reason that we're looking for a new location for the fairgrounds is we parked 800 and something cars there last year, and wasn't even near enough to be able to handle the amount of people that come out for the fireworks.
We actually keep a total, and you're right on. We hit close to 800 that we had parked, and unfortunately right now we have to cut off parking. We have to turn people away because if we get too many people in there, then it gets very dangerous for everybody.
We lots of other things. You have projects, just to mention a few of those right quick. We replaced all the lighting at the All Good facilities.
We did.
In All Good, which is another great partnership we have with each one of the cities. All Good is a big part of this also.
We the ballpark there, the top field at All Good, we replaced all of the lighting there. We put in a more energy efficient system and one that we can actually control from our phones, which of course makes it a lot easier for all of us. So that was a great project that we did, and then we renovated the tennis courts there at the Cookville Community Center. We were able to get that done this past year, and we have several projects coming up within the next few years that we've started to work on. One, of course, being Jerry Whitson, which we realize, of course, we have some work that we need to do there, and we're hopefully going to be able to start tackling a lot of that next year. We're actually in the process this year of getting the paving done, which of course is a big deal. That will help revitalize that facility tremendously, and it will kind of help tee us off into a series of getting those things improved.
So trail at the sports complex, got a health grant to do a walking trail around it. We did mention it.
We have, and I lump those two together quite a bit because in my mind they're
it's
linked.
one big project.
And so we actually have a trail that we're going to be building out at the sports complex to go with that sports complex grant, which will add a feature for parents that if you're out there watching your kid practice, then you can walk around and kind of get some exercise.
That's great. John, you're doing an absolutely great job with our Parks and Recreation Department. I appreciate everything you're doing. Keep up the good work. Thanks for being on the show this morning.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
It's time now for What's Happening, part of the show where I keep you informed on some of the special events going on in Putnam County. Today at 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. it's still going on at Tennessee Tech. The Window on the World International Festival at Tennessee Tech Hooper Evelyn Center. Admission is free. Stop by and check that out. Also tonight is the Pink Gala at the Cookville Regional's Charitable Pink Gala. It's at Leslie Town Center. Proceeds go to the free Ladies Mammogram program. Lots of Easter egg hunts coming up. Friday, April the 19th, the Moonlight Egg Hunt at Upperman High School. They'll have over 30,000 eggs, games, food, all free. Bring your flashlight, they say, to the Upperman High School, sponsored by the Baxter Crossroads Church. That will be from 5 to 8 p.m. Saturday, April the 20th, looks like is Egg Hunt Day, 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. The Upper Cumberland Easter Egg Hunt at Tennessee Tech Soccer Fields. It's hosted by TTU Athletics. Saturday, April the 20th from 10 a.m. At 10 a.m. is the second annual Adult Easter Egg Hunt at Delmonico Winery. Also on Saturday the 20th at 10 a.m., the City of Allgood is having an Easter egg hunt at the White Plains Historic Home. And then a very special event that we're having Saturday at 10 a.m. It's Hunger Free Tennessee. It's a Cookville grocery giveaway. Over 3,000 pounds of food will be given away at the Putnam County Fairgrounds on the 20th to needy families. That's Hunger Free Tennessee. It's at 10 a.m. on Saturday, April the 20th. And also on Saturday, April the 27th, the Major Market at the Biz Foundry on North Cedar Avenue. Showcased artists, makers, and creators from around the Upper Cumberland. That's what's happening in Putnam County for the upcoming couple of weeks. For more details on any of these events, go to my website at randyporter.org or my Facebook page at Putnam County, Tennessee. If you have an event you would like mentioned, please message or email me. And finally this morning, I'll leave you with something to think about. This morning we've been talking about sports, recreation, parks, and quality of life. Our county is very blessed to have lots of natural resources like Burgess Falls, Bee Rock, and Linda Cliff. But we also have a lot of great parks and sports facilities. It's about getting outside, exercise, and enjoying nature, something most of us don't do enough of. It's also about our children and future generations, having good facilities for them to play the sport of their choice, to compete, and learn major life lessons, whether it be winning or losing. And as we all know, if they're playing soccer, lacrosse, softball, or hiking, biking, or just walking on one of our great trails, they're away from trouble and staying healthy. Something we want for all of our children and grandchildren and future generations is a great quality of life. That's our show for today. I want to thank my guest, John Albertson, for being here. I hope you will join us every Saturday morning at 10:30 for Today in Putnam County, right here on News Talk 107.7 and 1400 The Hub. Remember, you can also download the WHUB app and listen to us on your cell phone. If you missed any of our shows, go to my website, randyporter.org. You can also follow me on social media for daily updates. I'm County Executive Randy Porter, hoping you have a great rest of your Saturday, and may God continue to bless our great county.